Welcome to PHP. I'm Brian Max, and I'm going to be guiding you through a lot of PHP, the language, with some really good examples. We're going to learn quite a lot about PHP. PHP is a server-side scripting language for creating dynamic web pages. It is becoming more and more commonly used to create webmail systems, blogging sites, user forums, and e-commerce sites. With PHP, you can set cookies, manage user authentication, and redirect users to other pages. It offers excellent connectivity to many databases like MySQL. You can call it MySQL as well. PHP can even generate PDF documents, manipulate XML, and create Flash Swift files. Now, what we have here is a nice way to actually go through the sample applications. So in addition to saying hello and welcome to the training course, I'm going to guide you through the different samples that you see on screen. The exercise files are available with the premium subscription and on the CD-ROM. Monthly and annual subscribers can follow along without the exercise files and learn by watching and creating your own files. The IP address you see here is the address of my local machine that I'm recording this tutorial on. This is not a website on the internet, but a PHP website that I create with you in later movies. This website contains all the exercise files or example files that I will refer to throughout the training. I will explain how to set up this PHP website locally on your own machine in the installation and configuration videos. Again, if you don't have the exercise files, you will still be able to follow along and learn the PHP concepts by watching and working on your own PHP scripts. If you are new to PHP, because of the complexity of this tutorial, I would recommend that you upgrade to the premium subscription or purchase this CD-ROM to follow my actions step by step with the same files that I am using. So let's get started. We're going to jump in, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. A lot of great examples. We're going to be looking at different editors as well. So get ready. We're going to really make things work for you and PHP. So what is PHP? PHP allows web developers to create dynamic websites that interact with databases. PHP is over 10 years old and really filled the need for creating web pages that can change instantly or at any time for a truly dynamic experience. Prior to PHP, the web world was stuck using the very slow and limited CGI technology. PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. It's really a strange acronym because PHP is the first word in this acronym. It's sort of a programmer's joke. Hypertext Preprocessor sort of says it all to me. Hypertext, as in HTML or hypertext markup language, and preprocessor because PHP processes the code before it's sent to the browser. Pre-processing. If you want to know more about the name, then visit php.net and check out the FAQ, the frequently asked questions. PHP is a scripting language, and it's also a programming language, and it's very C-like. Programming languages and scripting languages are really just the same thing. Scripting languages are more common to working with web servers instead of programming applications that you create to run outside of the browser on your computer. Programming languages require an advanced set of features built into the language. Because it's a programming language and a scripting language, you get the best of both worlds. You can do a lot of different things with it. PHP offers a web developer more freedom and choices with a higher level of detail. It's free and it's open source, meaning that you can just download it and use it. There's certain licenses, of course, and it's really something of a marvel that it's grown to the level that it has today. And it's definitely because it's an open source solution. So it is modified a lot, and there are different versions that you can use. So you can grab that source code and compile the language itself and also learn from it. Open source means that the source code for a particular project is freely available to the public to use and modify, whereas a proprietary system like Microsoft Word is closed source. You can't see the source code unless a particular company wants you to see it. PHP is fast, open, and stable, but importantly here, it's cross-platform. You can use a Linux production server, a Windows development server, a Mac testing server, whatever you like, and you're going to be able to use PHP the same across the platforms. It's extremely cross-platform. No compilation. When you compile a program or application, you take the source code and you process the files into a special format that is optimized. The PHP language is, by nature, optimized very well, so it is fast and doesn't need to be compiled, so it's easy to edit your code. Compiling code is an extra step that really slows down development. An example for all you Flash users out there would be when you take your FLA file and compile it or process it into a Swift file that you can preview in a browser. PHP doesn't need to do that because you can use the code right away on the web server. You just put your scripts into the folder and they're going to be parsed and executed on the server side, on that web server, and then the browser, your users, they're going to see the results in instant time. It's also easy to learn the language itself and use the language, but it's also extremely powerful. PHP code is added right to normal web pages, so there's no need for a special development environment or editor. There are many different editors available, and PHP has been designed to specifically take advantage of your web server features as it was intended to be used. It is not just a language that was forced into web development. It was designed to specifically process web pages, and that makes it easier to develop web sites. You're not alone. PHP is all about community. You're going to be able to download open source solutions, extend them, learn from them, and there's a lot of sharing going on. We'll be taking a look at a great open source PHP application, PHPMyAdmin. I really think it's one of the strongest sharing communities that are out there. It's drawing back a little bit only because the other communities are a little bit less open than PHP. They're trying to catch up to PHP, and I think PHP is moving a little bit towards the commercial realm, which is good. So you don't need everything free. You definitely can have solutions that you can purchase that aren't necessarily free, written in the PHP language, and you want to check out Zend.com for some interesting products on working with PHP and protecting your source code and things like that. It's a joy to write PHP scripts and using arrays and strings and all these things that other languages have a problem with. PHP really excels in that area. It's also object-oriented, so that's a bonus. Everything is moving towards object-oriented programming, and PHP has extended itself in PHP 5 to do even more object-oriented type programming. But I'm not going to go into great detail in this essential training tutorial. Once you understand the fundamentals of PHP, you will then be ready to move on to more complex things like object-oriented programming. PHP is a lot to learn, so do take things slowly. And also, you can and should watch individual movies multiple times as needed. So that is the basic explanation of PHP. And now we'll move on to understanding the way PHP works. Let's talk about the flow of data. In PHP, we're all familiar with the browser web server connectivity, and we know that we can log into applications, we can check our webmail, we can submit credit card information, we can have the computer remember us when we log back into a system, things like that. That disconnected environment needs to have some kind of scripting language or programming language that's going to allow us to remember certain details about the client and store it somewhere on the server, whether it's in a database server or inside the web server itself, and PHP can provide that connectivity. Now, besides that connectivity, we're going to be able to create dynamic pages, not just static HTML, static SWF flash files, or static audio and video. We can actually generate things like PDFs, SWF, all different types on the fly here on a fast enough server, and then dynamically present that to the client here. So the user is just really looking at a presentation. They're looking at the outcome, the text or media files that are passed back to the browser or application are going to be rendered out here. You need to run Flash. Well, the Flash is going to be run here. And it's exciting that PHP can really do some wonderful things. Like I said, Flash generation is something that's very, very important. Web services are something that's very, very important. And because we have a scripting language, a programming language here on our web server, things are going to be handled much differently than just static ways of doing it. You can have a presentation server. These are similar to web servers. They present web pages or Flash files, for example, to you that are stored or created that uses either the Java programming language and platform or the Microsoft .NET programming platform. These are just advanced ways to create web applications similar to normal web servers, but in a more advanced way. PHP can communicate with these servers similar to database servers or other web servers. It could be Flex from Macromedia, Laszlo. It could be all different types of presentation servers that take the load off of the web server to create files and interactivity and rich internet applications and present things very, very nicely. It just is different software that controls these things. And you can have multiple web servers set up to mirror things and work with different users all around the world. It's really fantastic. You can't forget about database connectivity, and PHP allows that database connectivity. You're actually communicating between the database server and the PHP web server that you have here. The PHP is going to grab data or send data or what have you, and what it's going to do is create things here in a presentation on the web server and then send that to the client. So you can have your web services flow through, your database connectivity flow through, the two together can talk and then communicate with the PHP to bring data to the client. It's really, really a wonderful process. So from this, you can understand that everything's going back and forth continuously. Many, many users are logging in all the time, and things are getting refreshed and updated daily or hourly or what have you. And PHP is really there to pull the glue together to make things happen in a very dynamic way. So I hope this movie has helped you to understand more about what PHP is and what PHP can do.